This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow with your boys here. My name is Truck, and I'm joined, as always, by the infamous Shane O'Mac. And today we are breaking down fantasy, dynasty, wide receivers for 2025. I know it's still early on in the offseason. The draft is coming up. It's kind of the low point right now. Trade talks and free agency has gone and come now. So, we're just here chopping it up, talking about some dynasty wide receiver rankings. And Shane, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. I'd like to say also thanks to everyone. Pretty good viewership on our last running back episode, Dynasty episode. We appreciate tuning into the content this time of year. So
absolutely. Speaking of which, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow us on social media. No, you're right. That was a big surprise. I mean, normally for Dynasty, it's a very niche, right? Fantasy football is very wide. Everybody's playing fantasy football. Not too many people are playing Dynasty. So we appreciate you guys checking us out and enjoying the content. That's why we're making it. We're here having a good time and spitting some knowledge for you guys. So, but yeah, good call, Shane. Anything else going on in the world of Shane O'Mac? Did you find a car for Jax O'Mac yet? I need an update. What's going on?
Oh my gosh. The never ending cycle of shopping in the used car market continues. We found a couple of options. We found a really a nice looking one. He loved that, basically think of it as like the Tokyo Drift Honda Civic, all tricked out and everything, and so I was like, this is pretty good price. Obviously looks good. He was into it. I am admittedly not a car guy. So the car was immaculate on the inside, on the outside. So I took it to a guy, did an inspection on it, and basically like all the mods they had done on it did not meet safety standards, like red flags everywhere. And like, they're like, get this car back to this dealership as fast as you can. Like,
yeah, you got to be careful. That's one thing for sure. So I'm glad you're getting it checked out, though, taking it to a reputable guy for yourself and getting it looked at. But the search continues.
Continues.
Best of luck to you. I got lucked out. I need a new engine for my car. Turns out I didn't need a new engine for my car. I took it to a place. They're like, "Who told you that?" And I'm like, this other place." Like, all right, they just wanted your money. Long story short, I needed a new valve. It still cost me a lot of money, but not as much as it would have to get a new engine. So I lucked out there.
God, don't you feel like going through this, I feel like in schools, like more than like studying any ancient era of history or some odd algebra equations that you're never going to use, like teach us all real fundamental life things like car maintenance and
I would have just loved in like an intro to engineering, right? Where they show you about an engine, just how an engine works, right? All the different components of an engine. That would have been a big help.
Yes.
Saying. But a man can dream, right?
Yeah.
But either way, there's some news. I know we're a little bit late on some of the news, but we got to talk about it before we talk about our wide receiver rankings, right? DK Metcalf, we talked about him last episode going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now we're getting reports that Aaron Rodgers, this is basically a done deal. I've heard the numbers have been worked out. It just hasn't been announced yet. I know Pat McAfee's doing a big show, and he's doing a live show in Pittsburgh on April 9th. And the rumor mill has it that Aaron Rodgers is going to be showing up on the show announcing that he's playing for Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. It's going to be like this whole grand thing. I don't know if I believe that. If the cards line up that way, great. If not, but did you see the video of him throwing to DK Metcalf?
I did. I mean, that's...
Did you or did you not see how jacked Aaron Rodgers looks?
Yeah.
Did you see him? He looks ripped.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be a done deal. There's no, I mean, literally the musical chairs have stopped. Like, unless
for sure
some major injury happened or something right after the draft, like there's no place for him to go.
No, I agree. I think he's going to end up in Pittsburgh. And honestly, I mean, we haven't really talked about him much, but that could be potentially dangerous. I know the Aaron Rodgers experiment didn't work out in New York, right? But Pittsburgh is always good, right? They always find a way to win games. They haven't had a quarterback that's even as good as Aaron Rodgers currently in his current age right? The way he throws the ball. They haven't had someone like that since Ben Roethlisberger when he was that old as well. So I don't know, man. I feel like you got George Pickens. For right now, you got George Pickens. Who knows what happens to him? But DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers on that Pittsburgh team could do some damage. What do you think?
Yeah, I would just say it like this: like if I was a dynasty owner of Metcalf or Pickens, I mean Metcalf more, I'm not worried if Rodgers is the quarterback. I'm feeling just as secure as I was with him, with Geno Smith. I don't think there's going to be a drop off.
Well, yeah, it's better than Mason Rudolph. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign there, I guess that's who they're comfortable going to the season with, which absolutely blows my mind. The fact that Mason Rudolph is even a relevant name currently in the NFL is bonkers. But all right, well, anything else going on that you wanted to mention? Who are we still waiting on? We got a couple wide receivers that still haven't been signed yet. They could be waiting. Teams could be waiting till the draft to see who they get. We haven't talked about it much, but this rookie draft class for wide receivers, there's not much going on. There's a few names floating around. We know Luther Burden. We know Tet McMillan. Matthew Golden. Handful, but it just seems like a shallow class this year, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you're still going to see. I would say 3. I think you see 4 go in the first round.
4.
Yeah, I think you're going to see 4. I think you're going to have Burden, T-Mac,
Golden,
and then I think the last one, the kid from Ohio State, I'm blanking on his name.
Emeka Egbuka?
Yeah, Emeka Egbuka.
Okay, no, you're right. I mean, there's some, talented wide receivers on there, and they are there. I think they're still first round talent. So I think you're right. But just saying 4, I'm like, is it really going to be 4? That seems like a lot with this class, but who knows, man? Who knows? Yeah. I'm excited for the draft. The draft is coming up soon, right? We got 3 weeks?
Yep.
About 3 weeks. It seems like time's flying because, it's just, someone told me that they're like, oh, we're 3 weeks away from the draft. I was like, holy shit, it is creeping up on us. So we are almost there. We're going to be breaking down some rookies later on in the weeks to come up, but we wanted to finish up our Dynasty kind of ranking series. We have the tight ends coming up after this, so stay tuned for that. But without further ado, let's hop right into it. All right, so surprise, Ja'Marr Chase is number 1. Okay, we talked about it all season, all off season. The guy had 276 fantasy points, a whopping 16.2 per game. Just absolutely incredible. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm stuck on standard. I need to be on PPR. A whopping 23.7 fantasy points per game. The second highest had 18, Shane. That's how dominant this guy was. And he, won the Triple Crown. Everybody was talking about how good Saquon Barkley was, how good Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, all these MVP candidates. And there was zero conversation about Ja'Marr Chase, right? Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I don't know. I think my biggest takeaway is I don't feel like people are talking about I actually think it's a good thing that T. Higgins remained in Seattle for Ja'Marr Chase's fantasy outlook for this year.
Of course, I completely agree.
It helps take some pressure off of him as far as continuous doubling or shadow coveraging or bracketing coveraging. I just think that was a huge plus to put him number 1 this year.
Well, he deserves it too. It's just so good to see him and Ja'Marr both get signed. They were talking about it for years to come, how they want to keep that core and, for many years, and they were able to do it. We'll see how this impacts the team for the next couple of years while this is in effect with, I think it's over 30% of their salary cap allotted to those 3 players, which we normally don't ever see. So, we'll see what happens. I see a lot of people dogging them, saying their defense is still going to give up 30 plus points per game. So we'll see what happens. But when you got T. Higgins and you got Ja'Marr Chase, you're in conversation to win any game, right?
Yep.
So it makes sense. But yeah, Ja'Marr Chase, just absolute game wrecker last year, and I think he continues, man. He is the most valuable wide receiver, and he's my number 1, your number 1 guy. Just went on an absolute tear last year.
Yep.
All right, so you have Malik Nabers at 2. I was wondering where and how high Malik Nabers was going to be in Dynasty rankings from that incredible season he had. I don't have him quite up there. I have him below Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. I have him at 4, but you have him up at 2. Now, who's throwing him the ball? Is it Geno Smith? Is it Russell Wilson? Do we know yet? Does it matter, Shane?
It doesn't matter. Like, look, last year, I mean, it was an incredible rookie year. Like, he set the record for targets by a rookie and catches by a rookie, and I think he ended up as wide receiver, 6 or 5. ESPN, I had seen a stat that gave him an open rate percentage, I think, of 92% for the year. All of this, and that was with Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, and Tommy DeVito at quarterback. So I'm not too concerned if it's Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston this year. They'll create targets for him, short area, low ADOT targets, down the field targets. I just like his setup even better this year than last year.
Who would you rather have him throwing the ball or have throwing the ball to him, Geno or Russ? You got to pick a side.
Do you mean Jameis or Rush?
I'm sorry, Jameis or Russ. Yeah, Geno's in Vegas.
I'd probably lean towards Jameis, maybe.
Really?
I think they're just so similar. They both tend to. I mean, we both saw it. The why I like them both is so we saw Russ. He really concentrated targets on George Pickens. Pickens had a good stretch of games with him. We saw Jameis Winston, like he came in and just made a huge fantasy asset of.
Jerry Jeudy.
Thanks. Well, I'm blanking on names.
Yeah, no, he absolutely he was throwing a cannon to Jerry Jeudy. And I think that's what the fantasy community really reacted to once Jameis got announced. They're like, boom, this is just a recipe for just explosiveness with Jameis Winston and Malik Nabers. But, at the same time, bringing in Russell Wilson, he's going to be their starter.
He'll be the starter.
I don't want to go back and forth with who's it going to be, who's it not going to. It's going to be Russell Wilson, at least for the beginning of the season. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe at some point Jameis comes in, but I think Jameis is better for the fantasy production we've seen year in and year out with Jameis, where he's just a gunslinger and he takes these chances. Russ is a little bit more calculated, doesn't want to make the mistakes that Jameis is willing to make. So, I do think either way, Malik is going to be fine. He deserves to be in the top 5. He had an amazing season, did end up as wide receiver 6 on the season. So I understand where you have him at 2. I'm just not ready to put him above Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb, right? I mean, they have some continuity, not so much Justin Jefferson. We'll see what happens with J.J. McCarthy, but the whole JJ combination there, I'm excited, man. I think Justin's in line for a good season. And CeeDee Lamb he deserves to be in the conversation for the best wide receiver in the league, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what's your reason? I mean, do you would rather have Malik Nabers over CeeDee Lamb currently in this day and age?
I probably would. Yeah. I think I could be wrong here, but I think Dallas, and it's not going to have a huge effect, but I think it's enough for me to nudge Nabers over Lamb. I really think they're going to bring in a big-time wide receiver 2, I think, at that number 12 draft pick. I think whether it's T-Mac or Golden or somebody, I think first round.
What are your team needs in Dallas for the draft?
Running back, obviously, big need. Wide receiver 2 is a big need. Offensive line, that from the offensive side of things, that's what it is. But wide receiver 2 and running back are 2 huge needs.
Okay. Did you see the April Fool's joke?
Yes.
Dak Prescott getting traded to what, the Browns
or
the Titans, or I can't remember who it was. It made me chuckle.
I got it sent to me. He was traded to the Steelers, so I knew that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, people are still, taking swings on the April 1st. But for me, it doesn't work anymore. You just know right when you wake up, like, all right, I'm going to see some shit today that you can't fall for it. But anyway, how about another rookie that really impressed last year, Brian Thomas Jr. You have him at 5. I have him at 7. Brian ended up as wide receiver 4. So he finished, he had a better season than Malik Nabers. Yet we have Nabers over Brian Thomas. Why do you think that is? Like, what's going on with Brian Thomas?
Yeah, like he's another guy that I was impressed on. I think it was from week 10 or 11. Like he had just an amazing stretch where he was over 21 fantasy points a game. But and think about it, he was doing this with Mac Jones at quarterback. Like we talked about Malik Nabers and who he was having throw to him.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like Brian Thomas had this prime rib of a quarterback throwing. I mean, it was Mac Jones back there. You got to think that it's even better, with a full season of Trevor Lawrence, him as the, for sure down, number one undisputed target person in that offense. He's going to probably take a step up. Yeah, it's close between him and Nabers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I wish we could patch in Coles right now and get him on the pod and check out his rankings, because I guarantee his top three would be Jamar Chase, Malik Nabers, Brian Thomas Jr. Right.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. And that's who he'd say. He'd say, go Tigers. Yeah, LSU boys, man. These LSU Tigers are just dominating the wide receiver group just in a whole like this. Just they're incredible, right? They deserve all the hype and everything. But yeah, I mean, Brian Thomas to me, this Jags team is I don't know what's going on with this Jags team with Trevor Lawrence. Where they bring in Liam Cohen, so that's it's a good sign with that. We saw what he did with Tampa, and Trevor was been making strides, but I don't know, man. Like it almost seemed like Brian Thomas was better without Trevor. Didn't it seem like that or no?
I think it was more of getting his feet under him in his rookie year of second half of the season. I'm encouraged by the Cohen hire. Like he did a lot for Baker Mayfield, for that receiver core. We saw the rookie last year, even McMillan, have a good year for Tampa Bay. So I kind of think that's an upgrade from Doug Peterson from a coaching standpoint.
I agree. I agree with you there. So we're hopeful for Brian Thomas. I just still have a lot of questions with the Jags.
Yeah,
I got to see them do it. I got to see Trevor do it, and we'll see then. How about Garrett Wilson has a new quarterback in town in New York, old college teammate, ex-Bear, Justin Fields. I have him at 12. You have him at 10. Every guy we're talking about so far, you're a little bit higher on than me. Are you hopeful that Garrett Wilson is still going to be like a deservingly a top 10 dynasty wide receiver? His talent is there, right? We've seen it throughout the years that he's been in the NFL. But I mean, what gives you the hope that he's going to be a top 10 guy?
I think a couple of things. Like one, I could be foolishly doing this. I still hang on to the fantasy season that DJ Moore had with Justin Fields. He still made DJ Moore, a top 12 guy that last year.
1,400 yards?
Yeah, I mean, he still made him a good enough fantasy receiver. And then second, and I think it was last year he had 5 weeks where he was like a top 5 receiver in 3 or 4 of those. And now, there's no Devontae Adams. He's off the roster, so that frees up even more targets. I'm hopeful that for at least a couple of years, Fields can make him still kind of a top 10-ish receiver.
Yeah, you're referring to week 5, 6, and week 9. Week 5, wide receiver 5 finish, wide receiver 2 finish, and wide receiver 2 finish. Those were the only games he finished inside the top 18. So had 3 good games, but when he's good, man, he's top 5 wide receiver, right? After saying all that, right, only had 3 really good games, he still ended up as wide receiver 10. So he's good in the red zone. I think he's going to be all right. I'll be talking about him a little later in the episode, so I don't want to give away too much. Yep. But Garrett Wilson's a good wide receiver, getting a guy that he's comfortable with, throwing him the ball. New coach in town. They're still trying. Okay, that's what you got to say that about the Jets. They're still trying to figure it out, and I'm still okay with Garrett Wilson. I know I didn't highlight him, but Drake London, another guy you have ahead of me, but I love talking about Drake London. Ended up as wide receiver 5 last year. Now we have a little change, right? Kirk Cousins. What's going on with Kirk Cousins? I haven't really heard much. I don't like. He can't start the season, right? He's not going to be
No,
he's not going to be the
no.
guy.
From what I have read, is him and the Falcons are basically holding off until after the draft, and I think it's been driven more from Cousins about he wants to see how the draft unfolds to kind of then help decide where he wants to get traded to. But from everything I've read, it is 100% Michael Penix that's starting. And then most likely, from what I read, the landing spot for Cousins will be in Cleveland to reunite with Stefanski.
Yeah, that makes sense. Drake London, I really like Drake London. I want to put him higher. I just got to figure out where I can fit him in, because you got all studs, right? All studs in this beginning part of the rankings. Drake London ended up with the third most red zone targets, third most target share. Like, the guy's a target hog, and his catch radius is unbelievable. I think he might have a really special season with Michael Penix. Like, I think it all lines up, right, for Atlanta with Bijan and Drake London and Michael Penix.
Yeah.
I'm anticipating a really big season for them. So I might be bumping Drake London up a little higher. Might need to see how high I can put him. But, I love Drake London. I can't say enough good things about him.
Yeah.
Ladd McConkey. Surprise, surprise. Another guy you have higher than me. Ladd, it's what, 5 for 5? Or is that 5 for 5? That is 5 for 5. Ladd McConkey ended up as wide receiver 13 last year. Just an absolute breakout as a rookie.
Yeah.
He's one of these guys where you're like, he was so hard to anticipate what his value is going to be in Dynasty, right? Because everyone is massive on him. The Chargers are revamping stuff, right? They bring in Mike Williams. Are they going to bring in Keenan Allen? Are they going to draft somebody? I don't know what's going to happen, but I know Ladd McConkey's not going to be the only guy there that's getting targets, right? Do you anticipate that being the case, or what?
So I would be a little more concerned for 1 year if they brought Keenan Allen in, because McConkey really thrived out of the slot, and that's where Keenan Allen wants to play out of. If it's just Mike Williams, I'm not that concerned. They're going to be. He's a separate type of target person.
He almost compliments them all.
Yeah, it's a good compliment. Like, he's like these other rookies we mentioned. Like, he really took off from like at week 10 and 11 on. I think it was from week 10 or 11. He was earning 30% target share. He was being looked at more. I knew in a PPR league he was going to be a nice asset. And really, like, their pass volume was not that great throughout the year last year as an offense. And so you bake into maybe it's a little bit more passing this year, second year with Harbaugh. So as long as they don't bring in a first round receiver, a top guy that falls to them, I feel pretty secure.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they're going to do that.
Yeah,
Harbaugh doesn't seem like the type that's going to be spending a really high pick on a wide receiver with how like McConkey did last year.
Yeah.
So I think he's pretty safe. But the Keenan Allen thing worries me a little bit. He talked about he's either staying in Chicago or going back to LA. So, and from talks around Chicago, I'm not sure if he's coming back.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm still not ready to plant a flag on Keenan on where he's going, but I'd be worried about all the trades going on around Ladd McConkey, because I feel like his price would skyrocketed. So we'll see what happens. But what about the number one guy from last year's draft, Marvin Harrison Jr.? We talked about it, man. Disappointing season, just not what you were expecting. Where did he end up? I'm not even sure. Let's see. Wide receiver 30.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 30. Really got outshined by Trey McBride. Trey McBride had a couple good games, finally found the end zone a little bit more than he did that rookie year, even though it wasn't that many to begin with this year. But Marvin Harrison, what do we do with him, right? You drafted him really high. You got to hold on to him because his value is in the dumps right now after a wide receiver 30 finish. We both have him in the same spot as wide receiver 14. Or do we have him at 14 too hopeful just because it's Marvin Harrison, the name? He's a young wide receiver, has still a bunch of opportunity with the Cardinals. I mean, what's your gauge on Marvin Harrison? Because I I don't know if I have him too high. I probably do. I probably could knock him down a few rings.
It's crazy when I was looking at his stats. Like if you would put his stats up, probably 8 years ago, 10 years ago, where he's over 60 catches, he's almost 900 yards, 8 touchdowns. You'd be thinking that's pretty good rookie season, but we've just had such high rookie wide receiver production over the last couple of years.
But here's the thing: it's not just wide receivers, rookie tight ends, rookie quarterbacks. We are getting spoiled with rookie production in the NFL for fantasy football, and it's really hurting certain players that I think are getting negatively affected by that, right? Caleb Williams is one guy where you look at his stat line any other season 5 years ago, you're like, hey, that was a great rookie year. Marvin Harrison, you're absolutely right. 800 yards, 8 touchdowns, 60 catches. That's a good rookie year. But when you come in the year that with as much hype as he had, and the hype is really what kills these guys, right? They're just coming in with all this hype and not panning out to what people are expecting. I mean, what was he's being drafted in the first round and redraft.
Yeah, he was I saw him a lot last year at that 1-2 turn.
I was taking him. I was taking him, right? I mean, I was guilty of that. So Marvin Harrison, he's a stash right now. You just got to let it play out and hope for the best this next season and hope it gets better. But I don't really know what else you can do with him right now, right?
No. Hold.
Yeah, he's a hold. All right, I got Zay Flowers on here I wanted to talk about because I don't know what to think about Zay Flowers. At first I liked him, right? And then as I was watching him, week in and week out, he finished as wide receiver 25 last year. Lamar Jackson has games where he throws the ball a lot, but then you have Derrick Henry and they have drives where he throws one pass and they go 70 yards downfield and score a touchdown, and they only threw the ball once.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that offense, right? You have the best rushing quarterback potentially in the history of the NFL. And you have one of the more dominant running backs in the history of the NFL. Where does Zay Flowers fit in? I mean, he's a young guy. He's going to be around for a while. So I get why you have him at 17. I have him down at 20. So just a little bit further down. I just don't want Zay Flowers on my team. Is that mean or what do you think?
Yeah. I honestly, there was 3 guys in Dynasty I really struggled to rank with. One was Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
And then both the Kansas City receivers that we'll probably talk about, Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. I really struggled with those. The Ravens, I mean, there was games when he did have a little bit better pass volume. I think it was 5 or 6 games where he had 9 or more targets. But also it's not a huge long-term multi-year impact, but what does for 1 year DeAndre Hopkins, what does his presence look like as far as, does he take away a little bit more of the catch volume and a offense that, he's going to have to be competing for touches. So I honestly, those are the 3 guys I struggled the most with ranking.
Yeah, I mean, they're in this range, so we might as well talk about it, right? But Zay Flowers, to me, I don't know what to think about him. All right. Like I said, I don't want him on my team. If I got him, I'm dishing him off. And if you got him, I'm not buying him. Put it that way. But yeah, Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice. You have Worthy over Rashee Rice, which I am surprised about.
I know.
I don't have it that way. I have Rashee Rice at 16, Worthy down at 26. I will be talking about Worthy a little bit later in the episode, a little bit more in depth, but dude, Rashee Rice, when he was healthy at the beginning of the season, he looked so dominant. I mean, he looked like the guy that we were expecting for we're looking for in a Chiefs wide receiver for a long time. And just devastating injury. I believe he's going to be back full health week 1, ready to go. And I think he's going to start right back where he left off, right? Worthy had a great season. Don't get me wrong. What did Worthy finish at?
He was, what surprised me the most about Worthy was he was just supposed to be this, down the field, deep passing option only, like, and he has actually kind of had some games where he had low ADOT and getting more catches.
There was a point towards the end of the season where he was just the possessional guy.
Yeah.
He was the one getting 6-7 targets. He didn't have a single game over 100 yards. Still ended up with, what was it? Where is he at? I just lost him. 638 yards. I don't know. I think Worthy, if you can get rid of him, maybe try. But I'll save that for later on. We won't have to talk about that too much. But yeah, I think Rashee Rice should be over Worthy.
Until I see two things shake out, I'm going to put Worthy over Rice. One, what does that torn LCL look like? I'm not a doctor, so I don't know how the LCL is compared to an ACL. But what does that look like in recovery? And two, I need to have a full 100% confirmation that there's going to be no suspension possible for him this year that comes out. I don't know. Maybe I missed it. I hadn't seen if there is for
I
sure.
Completely forgot about
if
that.
He's in the clear, or if he could still be looking at 4 games or something like that. Those are the two little obstacles I want to see cleared before I move him ahead of Worthy.
That's fair. Like I said, I completely forgot about that whole criminal charge. So we'll see what happens with that. You're right. He may get a suspension. I don't know. We'll have to wait and hear about that a little bit more. Yeah. DK Metcalf, I got DK at 22. You got him down at 25. We talked about him a little bit. I think he's going to be a massive presence on this team. I think that, it's very unrealistic of them, the Steelers, to do this, right? To go and get an established number 1 wide receiver and bring him on. They always draft and develop their wide receivers. Like for years, they have always done that. So I think this is very uncharacteristic of them, but they saw something in DK that they feel that they really needed. And I think they did definitely need it. I mean, George Pickens is great, but I said all year, like, I still don't think he's a true number 1 guy. Like George Pickens to me is a phenomenal number 2 guy, right? Something about it. I don't have much to back it up. You guys can clown me if you want in the comments, but I don't believe George Pickens is a true number 1. DK Metcalf is that. He is the true number 1. And Aaron Rodgers, man, if he actually goes there, right, which we think he will, I think that could be a deadly combination, like I stated in the beginning of the episode. But I'm a little higher on DK than you are. But I mean, do you have any other comments? I know we talked about it.
No, it's going to just go back to what's the passing volume look like on a team that likes to run the ball.
Who's their running back?
Maybe, they could be a prime. They could be a prime team that takes one of the good running backs in round 1 or 2. We'll just have to see. But when you're talking about if you got Pickens, Freiermuth, we'll see. I think, to your point, like I see Pickens more like Devonta Smith in Philadelphia. He's not a number 1. He's just a solid 2, but he's not the number 1.
No, he's a number 2 with an attitude problem.
Yeah,
that's what he is right there. So.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else on this list here? I know you got Keon Coleman up at 36. I don't have him in my top 36.
God,
you got Debo up here. Let's see who else. I got Chris Olave a little bit higher. I got Cortland Sutton. You don't even have him in your top 36.
I know.
I feel like that's a bit ridiculous. Cortland Sutton had a great year.
Yeah.
But what do you got here? What do you make of this back half or this back 10 of the top 36?
I think just a couple of things stood out to me. The drop of, you can see it in my rankings, you can see it in your rankings. The drop of Tyreek Hill in 1 year's time frame is pretty substantial. Like, right?
I'm at 28. You have him at 23.
Yeah, but
I can't remember what he was last year. I didn't put the last year's rankings. I know I did that for quarterbacks and running backs, but
yeah.
I mean, I know he wasn't extremely high in Dynasty. He's getting older, but this guy keeps popping out kids like it's nobody's business, I mean, Cole's joked about it. Like, he has one more kid. He's playing another year. Like, he's going to keep playing. So, and Tyreek Hill, when healthy with Tua, if Tua continues playing, I mean, what do you not like about Tyreek, right? I mean, the guy can still go out there and put up 180 yards any given day.
Yeah, I think it's, and he keeps popping up for these trade requests. And I mean, is that just foolishness or could there be something to it? I think there's just, I don't know. It's so much kind of uncertainty with him. I think it's time to drop him like we did. So,
yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm fine, dude. If I'm competing for a championship and I can get Tyreek Hill at a cheap price, I'm totally fine with that, right? I love veterans on only got a couple years left. Get them for cheap and compete for a championship. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Same thing with Mike Evans, right? Mike Evans is getting older. Still had the 1,000-yard season, barely, but and Chris Godwin too. Where do you have Chris? You don't have Godwin on here.
No,
on the top 36.
That's another guy. He had a major injury. I mean, that was a full ankle dislocation. That is, from what I've read, sometimes even harder to come back from than knee injuries. So,
I don't know what it is about. Maybe it's the year 2025 and sports medicine is at its peak. And peaking more and more every year. We see these guys come back from these, Achilles injuries and these gruesome injuries. I don't think there's an injury right now that a player can't come back from at a certain age, right? I mean, Chris Godwin isn't young by any means, but I'll have to see it because I can't recall an injury that someone sustained where they're at a prime age like Chris Godwin is, where they can't come back from that with the sports medicine right now. So. Yeah, I like Chris Godwin. I do. All right. Well, I mean, do you have any others you want to mention? I know we kind of ran through those, but I feel like we gave some good info on where we have everybody stacked up.
Yep, I think we do.
Okay. All right. Well, we got tight ends coming up next round. Maybe in a week, maybe 2 weeks. We'll see what happens. We're enjoying the off season. Shane, I have the next 3 months off.
Ooh.
We finished our season. I'm not going to disclose what show I was working on, but we wrapped the season we were currently working on, and we have to wait 3 months before the next season starts. So
wow,
I got to figure out what I'm going to do with my time. I have been lazy. Let me tell you, the last 2 days I have not wanted to do anything, and we'll see when that stops or when that can. I can switch that up.
You for sure. Speaking of lazy, you for sure think I need to get on the Severance bandwagon and start.
Oh, Shane, I'm about Shane. I'm about ready to start a different podcast, a new series, just all about TV shows and movies. Because I'll tell you what, man, Severance. This last season of Severance was something special. Okay, season 1 was great. It's slow build up. Last 3 episodes were boom, 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 really good. Season 2 was just fascinating to me. I mean, I waited 3 years for season 2, mind you. Okay, it was a 3-year gap in between season 1 and season 2. Very, very long time. I hate when shows do that, but it lived up to the hype. The finale, I might have watched it 5 or 6 times.
Wow.
The final episode, it was that good. Love that show. I have a ton of other recommendations. We can hash it out. We can talk about it. We can do a whole side episode of TV shows and stuff. If you guys are in the comments and you're watching up to this point and you want some recommendations on TV shows and movies, I watch way too much TV.
I think Taylor Sheridan is the cheat code also, right? For most recent shows, like anything he produces is good.
Yes. Yeah, he's great. He does great work. But there's so many good, like I was talking to somebody about this. I work in the film industry. I drive trucks for movies and TV shows. And in Chicago, back in the day, my father used to do what I'm doing. Back in the day, it was all movies. The Dark Knight, Transformers, Superman, all these big films were coming into Chicago filming. And nowadays, it's all TV shows. That's the only thing that's really being filmed. Yeah. Movies are just a dime, very, very far and few in between.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say with that is there's so many shows, so many good shows, HBO, Paramount, Showtime, Netflix, Hulu.
Yeah.
You just got to – I've been going through them all and kind of hitting the good ones. And if you're ever in need of a good show, Shane, to wrap this all up, if you're ever in need of a good show, let me know. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a ranking. I'm going to get a full
ranking shows
of TV shows currently that are on or just ended. Maybe I'll premiere that at the next episode. We'll talk about that in the beginning of the episode. But
I like it.
It's always fun. Always fun.
Yeah.
All right, but thanks for joining. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. You guys are the best. Follow us on social media. Check out the Substack, thefantasyroadshow.substack.com. Very happy and very pumped for the draft coming up. We're going to talk more about rookies after tight ends. I think we're going to highlight that a little bit. Yep. And then maybe introduce some of our fans from last season, fans of different teams. We'll start diving into that. Maybe we'll get a guest appearance of Coles if we're lucky. If we're lucky. All right, everybody, take it easy and buckle up.